Oh, and then he fast counts me. Look at that. Did you see that? Backlund retains the title with a fast count. Frickin' Putski. Why was Putski allowed to ref? How did I get in the wrestling industry? Well, I did 6 years in the United States Navy, and I come home on leave right before I was going to get out, and wrestling was at the Minneapolis Auditorium, and I had nothing to do, so I went down there by myself, and I went and watched wrestling. I was about 23 years old then, 22. A gentleman by the name of Superstar Billy Graham was on the card that night. I took one look at Superstar Graham, his whole persona, and I said to myself, maybe this is a career. Actually, there was an ad in the paper, Pro Wrestling School, 7th Street Gym. And I went down there and met a gentleman named Eddie Sharkey. And so I trained with Eddie for 6 months. And when he thought I was ready, I sent pictures throughout the different promoters he knew. And I got a call from Bob Geigel in Kansas City. And initially in Kansas City, I was Surfer Jesse Ventura. I wanted to portray an image of a blonde-headed, well-built beach bum. Then, where Jesse the Body Ventura actually came from, when I came back to Minneapolis and Vern Gagne was going to hire me, he said, "Can you do Superstar Billy Graham?" And I said, "I can do Superstar Billy Graham better than Billy Graham." He said, "That's what I want," because he had lost Graham to New York. "But we got to come up with a name for you." He said, "You're going to pose and you're going to do all that stuff." He goes, "The Body." He goes, "How about Jesse the Body? Jesse the Body Ventura." And it clicked right there. And so it was Vern Gagne and the AWA that gave me the full name. And Jesse the Body Ventura is history from there. Now, we're battling these two guys who have been in wrestling longer than I've been alive. In fact, probably longer than Adrian and I both have been alive. I don't know. But let's put it this way. They were two, we'll call them wily old veterans. They weren't always the most gracious or fun guys to be in the ring with. When you wrestled Mad Dog, if it went out to the floor, good luck. Anything goes and anything can happen. I was getting over very strong as an individual, and Adrian came in. And we were both about the same age. We both offered different styles in our wrestling, which is good in tag team. And the two of us blended well together, and we came up with the name. Adrian was from New York. I was from San Diego, California, so it seemed a natural name to become the East-West connection. The one thing I'll say about Adrian, inside the ring, you couldn't find a better partner and a better piece of talent. The problem with Adrian was outside the ring. And after a few years with him, I couldn't take it anymore. But Adrian had his ups and downs outside the ring. I'll just say that. My time in the AWA was terrific because Adrian and I became the AWA World Tag Team Champions, which they were one of the 3 biggest organizations in wrestling. So by holding their tag team championship means you're a major belt holder in the world of wrestling. The other good thing about the AWA that I liked, you might only wrestle 12 to 14 times a month. It was wonderful. You were making good money and you had time off for your family to heal. You could perform better because you weren't being run down and ruined, which is what a lot of promoters back then, they didn't care. They ran you till you couldn't run no more, till you couldn't make them any more money. Truthfully, I didn't even know I wrestled Curt Hennig in the WWE. So, well, we'll just ad-lib our way through it.
Through the ropes. Oh my, did he ever hit the hardwood floor?
Well, I'll tell you something. That had to be when Curt Hennig was barely a rookie. If I'm wrestling Curt Hennig right there, because look at him. Look at how small and skinny he was right there. You know, Kurt always had it. I was very lucky here that I got Kurt at this extremely young age, because it was certainly my advantage. Kurt Hennig ultimately became a hell of a performer. You know, he developed into Mr. Perfect. There's the body vice, so I think it's over. Yep, there we go. Well, I'll tell you what, an honor for me to wrestle and defeat Kurt Hennig like that, because it sure didn't make Kurt quit. You know, it must have inspired him on to bigger and better things, because Kurt went on to have a tremendous career, and I have all the respect for him in the world for both him and his father. Wow, didn't even remember I wrestled Kurt. Kurt had trained in the down with Vern in the AWA, and then when Adrian and I were there, Larry came back, and we had some great tag matches with Kurt and Larry, because we tortured the hell out of Kurt. And then, of course, Larry'd get a hot tag and wipe the ring of us. And it worked very well.
Nobody's moving.
Tony Atlas was an extremely powerful man. As you can see right there, we're battling between the two of us. Tony could beat me, you know. In my mind, there's probably no doubt about it. There, I'm getting the best of him, though. Anyone that can hang in there with Tony Atlas arm wrestling has got to be pretty strong. And second of all, it also opens the door for regular wrestling. Because if I get beat arm wrestling, you can rest assured I'm going to do something to retaliate. This is the longest arm wrestling match I think I've ever had in my life. They generally do not go that long. I think it's coming to an end. I think Tony's got me there in the end, yeah. Oh, and see though? Cheap shot. Pull him across. Freddie Blassie's in there, hands me the chair. Now this is the problem. Here's what you get if you beat Jesse Ventura arm wrestling. Wham! Who's that, Pat Patterson trying to stop me? Boom! Throw the chair on him again. Wrestling in Madison Square Garden, the first time you ever wrestle there, your nerves get to you, even though you don't even try to have them do that. Just, I don't know, it's got a mystique about it. In reality, in many ways, it's no different than wrestling anywhere else. I mean, you got the ring, and you got an opponent, and you got a big crowd. The only reason that you truly know it is you tell yourself, my God, this is Madison Square Garden, the Mecca. I got Backlund he's like a broken tomato right here. He's taken a lot of punishment. I'm trying to figure out how he's been able to withstand all this. Well, now I know why. Look who the referee is. It's that slow-moving Ivan Putski. Well, no wonder. Jeez, look at Backlund's quitting right there. Where's Putski at? Oh, and then he fast counts me. Look at that. Did you see that? Backlund retains the title with a fast count. Frickin' Putski. Why was Putski allowed to ref? Bob was a very dedicated man to his trade. Now, was he a flashy guy for pro wrestling? No. But Bob Backlund as an athlete and as a wrestler was as good as you could get. Hulkamania was just starting. He was just on the rise. Here you see I'm wearing him out. His big bulky body, let him chase me around for a while, catch him coming in the ropes. Uh-oh, look at that cheater. He picked up a chair. Look at that. Hulk Hogan used a chair on me before I ever did. And that's a hero? Excuse me. Why wasn't he disqualified right there? That's pretty interesting. Oh, here he comes with the chair again. Yeah, there you go, Hulkamania, running wild with a chair. The sad part was I never got the opportunity to wrestle him for the title in the WWE, because that was when I got struck down with pulmonary emboli, blood clots in my lungs that pretty much ended my career. But I think both of us were good enough professionals that we didn't need time to find chemistry. Nobody knew what was going to happen with wrestling when the WWE came up with the idea to go national. But I knew certainly to whatever level the stardom came, Hogan would be the biggest star because he was the chosen one. And he was perfect for it. I'm not going to deny that. Hulkamania worked. You can't deny results. You know, and I'm glad I was on board with it for a great deal of it. This was all or nothing. I'm with the WWE. We're going national. If we fail, I'm probably done in wrestling. If we succeed, we'll achieve heights that had never been seen before. So it truly was nothing more than a roll of the dice, because if I had to leave wrestling, I was ready for it.
From San Diego, California, weighing 271 pounds, Jesse the Body Ventura.
Now here's a team for you. Jesse the Body and the Macho Man. I mean, we're so flashy you don't even notice Elizabeth. Can you get any more flashy? I mean, there was a tag team made in heaven right there. And I'll tell you this, Macho, what a talent. And it was a pleasure to be his tag team partner. I always enjoyed it. I was probably a little bit more of the power guy of the group, but boy, Macho, he didn't take a back seat to nothing. There goes Mach up to the top, all over if he comes with the elbow. It's all over. Boom. Yep, you can see I know it is. Teaming up with Macho was an enjoyment because he was such a rare talent, and I enjoyed the heck out of the few times I got to be his tag team partner. He was so unique in his talent, his voice, how he carried himself, the whole Macho Man image. But back then, everything was stereotypes, and you exploited them. You know, you had all these stereotypes within the wrestling business, but in a way, it worked. And in a way, it made people accept each other almost more because they were able to see through the stereotypes of wrestling. The reason why this match is so significant, this is the first time in history, that any color commentator in any sport has gone from the commentating booth down to the ring, wrestled or performed, whether it's football, baseball, or anything, and then back to the booth again. No other announcer in the annals of sports ever achieved this till I did it right here.
All right. Oh, did you see that? Oh, he must have tripped. He lost his footing. Look at this. Ace Orton now readjusting the cast. Ace Orton, we saw blatantly hit Cousin Luke right behind the head. Oh, yeah, the sleeper's on Luke, all right. And he's out, but not because of the sleeper. It's because of Ace using that illegal cast.
There we are winning. You notice I'm on the winning side. Roddy was so unique, and not only could he perform in the frickin' ring, but he could talk. He had talking power, Piper's Pit. He was the first one to do that. Roddy's talent actually opened the door somewhat for me too, because I was on the other network and came up with the Body Shop, where I was doing essentially the same thing Piper was doing on one network. I was doing it on the other. And Roddy was the one that led the way on that. Roddy and I did a TV pilot together called Tag Team. It would have been a huge hit, and it went down the toilet. A little kid came up with the idea with his dad, and he said, you know, it'd be neat, Dad, to see two wrestlers who become cops, and our hook was gonna be, we always got the bad guys with wrestling moves. And we thought that hook will work. I think the show would have been a huge success. Back then, you didn't have 350 stations throughout the United States of America. Cable was just coming in. Things like the USA Network were babes in the woods, just sprouting. They were little plants starting to grow. So for us to achieve back then to get on NBC, that was the pinnacle. Everybody in the whole United States knew who the #1 wrestling group was then. The argument was over. I'm extremely proud of my career in wrestling because I made it on my own. There was no one in my family to pave the way. I was a kid that served 6 years in the United States Navy, developed a dream, pursued that dream. I've made it to the highest echelons you can make in this business, and I did it all in less than 20 years, really. But like all careers, it had to come to an end. And I'll just say now, it's been very interesting, very fulfilling to be able to come back and relive it again in my 70s.